Hello everyone, welcome to this next episode on Anubhav Learning Series. In this video series session, we will talk about how can you create your first Fiori prototype using Build tool. Also, we will learn how can we export this prototype to a real productive Fiori application and then start deploying this application in our real development environment using SAP WebIDE tool.
So I'm just logging to the Build tool here using my email ID. And in parallel, we will also open the SAP WebIDE over here. I'll just go back to the Build tool and I will create a project as part of the Build tool. So I've connected with my email ID with the Build tool and I'm just creating a new project. Create a new project using Build tool, or I can also clone an existing project from the app gallery which it offers. So this is also a good way to get started, because if you create a new project from scratch using template, you have to prepare the data for that yourself. But just in case if you don't do that, then you don't have to prepare the data. The data is out of the box available using these cloned applications, these um, pre-provided applications by SAP. So it's loading the gallery over here. You'll see the list of projects which we can clone directly and then quickly create the prototype. So in other sense, it also helps you to get those pre-filled screens with some sample data. You can start changing the data. You can add some more controls to it. So that way your work even becomes more easier if you use this option. This is the third option which we did not see it yesterday. So today we are seeing it actually. So let's see, it taking a little bit of time to load those gallery of projects, but let it take. So maybe it takes another minute or so. Not sure why it's so slow. Let's try one more time. You can also come to new project, and yes, now you can see it has loaded all the projects. So this looks good. So what we can do is, maybe I just want to see full gallery. There are so many projects in there with sample data. You see, this is our gallery for the build. Let's come down, and maybe I just want smart framing, inventory and demand supply. Maybe I want to use this inventory and demand supply. You can see there are 6,251 people who have viewed this project by far. 66 people liked it, and 1,370 people have checked out this project to create their prototype. So we want to also use this. So I just click and I can see what exactly this project is all about, a little brief with the hashtags, and now I can click on clone. So let's do the cloning. It's cloning up, and now I can say I want to create a new project, clone in a new project, and I want to give a name, Anubhav's inventory system. Give the project description, onlinefiorytrainings.com, and I say clone. So now the cloning process has begun, which means now we are going to get a clone for this project created, in which we will be able to see everything. So let's see that. Okay, fine. And now we see a clone for that project is out of the box generated. Of course, we can go and add persona for the user, create a study later point of time. We can invite the team to contribute to it, all that we can do. But now we have this prototype already available. I can go inside this prototype and just quickly do a quick preview of this prototype over here. So this is also another good way to get started with a prototype, guys. Out of the box, you see it creates a 4-screen Fiori application with a detail and item view with a chart. A nice chart is also there. So I'm just going to come and say, please preview this application. You can also try and check the responsiveness. How good is the responsiveness for the prototype which you created in mobile, tablet, and other stuff. So now you can see here we have got a beautiful chart application. When I select a particular product, it's showing me a demand supply. What is the exact demand we have? What is the how much stock we have available? How many of them are ordered by far? So that's a nice, beautiful chart. And I can click on a chart. It's not navigating. I think what could be next screen? Okay, maybe just go back here. It's navigating me back. So all these things are there with this simple project. And I can see item details. And you can see here we have got now the item details for that particular product is being displayed in an object form. And now it's just going to go back, say purchase request, and now I can create a purchase request over here. Superb. See, I can create a purchase order, and I can add multiple items. It's pre-filled with the quantity and all that stuff. So this is all we have in this small prototype, which is out of the box generated. The test data is also there. So now what I want is I want this prototype to be used in my web IDE. So Build tool comes with a lot of these pre-packaged prototypes. You can just use them, add your own data, modify them, and once you're done with the changes, you're happy with it, you can now import this in web IDE. So what are all the steps to import a project in web IDE? Guys, we need to first establish a secure tunnel between the Build tool and our web IDE. So the only thing which you need to do is there are two major steps. So how to import a project from SAP Build tool to SAP Web IDE full stack. This is what we want to achieve. So to do that, there are two major steps. The first major step is setup and handshake connection between the Web IDE and the Build tool. The second step which we need to achieve or do is after we establish this connection between the Web IDE and the Build tool, we need to enable the Build feature at SAP Cloud Platform and at Web IDE level. So let's check this prerequisite quickly to achieve this handshake or to achieve this integration. So now I will go back to our SAP Cloud Platform. We go to now the destinations over here. You can see the destinations. Go in there, and here you see there are two destinations which will already exist. The first is called Build Production. You can see this is already present over here, the Build Production destination. Yeah, it's already there. You don't have to touch that. Make sure that it exists with the same name, exactly same name. So as part of step number 1, we need 4 destinations, out of which 2 of them already exist in Web IDE in SCP. Yeah. So first is the build production. If you think this build production is not existing, I will show you a quick trick by which it will get created automatically. The second annotation which exists is called Web IDE plugin annotation. This is also a very important annotation which must exist. So I'll just also put that over here. So these two existing destinations are required. Once these two are there, if just in case they're not there, what you can do is go back to the services here. Okay, and here we find a service called Build Service. Just search for Build Service, SAP Build Service. Make sure that this service has been enabled. So like in the previous classes, we saw how to enable the workflow service. When we created a workflow service, system has automatically created destination for workflow runtime as part of our SCP destination list. Similarly, if you enable this build service, then you're going to get that automatically that those two destinations getting created. You can also check the documentation over here for WebIDE based integration for the build tool. So just click on the documentation. You can see the service configuration in SAP Cockpit. So what are all the services you need to configure? You can see enabling the build tool service, assigning the tenant request roles. All this is given in the documentation, but maybe yes, if in case you're finding it trouble, you would like to look at this. Otherwise, you can come back. So that's the first prerequisite again in the step 2. So that is, you can see enable the build feature in WebIDE and SCP. So that was step 2 actually. Within step 2, you should make sure that the build service is enabled inside the SCP. That's another thing. Now, once all of this is done, we can come back. There are 2 more destinations which are required. One is called WebIDE private. Another is WebIDE private hyphen something. So let's go and check that. I have already prepared those 2 destinations for you as per the documentation which I read, and I am going to give you that. Please check this video with the link below in the description. You'll find the link to those destinations in the description video. So you can download from there. Those who are taking my course, they are there already in my training blog. So you can download also from there. However, let me just import those 2 destinations now. I'll go back to destination section. And first we say import destination. This is how we typically import any destination, like we did it for our S4HANA system. So I just say import, and just going to go back to my study material. In this is destination, and you see SAP UI5 private and SAP UI5 private build. These 2 destinations are needed. So I'll import first SAP UI5 private, just import it, yeah, and save it. And the next one, I'll again import private build, and I just save this. So these 2 more destinations you need, SAP UI5 private and SAP UI5 private build. I'm going to give you this in the description of this video. You can download from there in the description, or you can also subscribe to my course. In my courses, I have that already available in our training blog. Okay, you can just simply download and upload as import in the WebIDE. So this is the first prerequisite, big step. The second big step was enabling the feature at the SCP level, and the next step over here is to now go back and open SAP WebIDE full stack. So go back to WebIDE full stack. Those who are not comfortable what WebIDE full stack is all about, you can always go to my YouTube channel with the name Anubhav Oberoi, and you can find what is WebIDE full stack. A complete set of trainings and videos are available on this channel for all your technical learning which you needed today. So we have courses like SAP Fiori Security, Fiori Launchpad, OData Services, SAP UI5, SAP HANA, ABAP on HANA, S4 HANA Cloud, S4 HANA On-Premise, CDS views, MDPs, ADBCs, different latest topics like Fiori Elements, annotations, QUnit OPA 5 tests, HANA Access, Access Advanced, ABAP on HANA architecture. Then we have S4 HANA Cloud in-app extension, creating native cloud applications using Java Olingo framework. We have also the courses on Fiori Launchpad and security. So all these courses are available on our channel. You can go ahead and subscribe to our website, onlinefiorytrainings.com, and you can also find those materials over there. So I'm going to come back, and now you can just search a video getting started with WebIDE, or you can also search for getting started with WebIDE full stack. Those who are not comfortable with WebIDE full stack, so you can also check this particular video, how to get started with WebIDE. So this is the video you can go through. I'll put the description of this video as well into the description of this video, and you can of course navigate to that quite easily. Yeah. That's what exactly you can do it. You can see here. Yeah. So I'll just close this, maybe move back. So now this is our WebIDE full stack. I can just go to preferences here, and remember you have to enable one extension for build. Go to extensions, search for a build extension over here, and now I see import prototype from build. This is the extension name. As you can see, currently it is off. Just have to make it on. What it does exactly, the moment you make it on, you are going to get a nice option in your templates. So just the way you create projects from template in WebIDE, there are different templates like work list, master details, and stuff like that. Similarly, now we have a, a template available for build project to be imported to WebIDE. Let me go back to now my code editor where we were designing our cloud workflow and Fiori applications. By far, I'm just going to close this workflow which we designed in last class. And now I will right click on my project repository and say new. Please create a project from the template. And watch out, guys. In the categories, now you see another option. Since you enable that plugin, you getting this option called build project. Voila. And now over here you can see a nice their icon. Yeah, so let's click on this icon and now say next, and let's give a project name. So this is going to be my application for Anubhav's fruit application or Anubhav's inventory application. So I just going to give that Anubhav inventory INV and say next. And now it's asking me the credentials to connect to my build tool. Awesome. So let me enter my email ID anubhav.abap@gmail.com. That's my email ID. You can always write back to me on this email ID. And now I'll give my password for the build and just sign in. And now it's asked me to import a prototype. Guys, if just in case you're unable to establish this connection, there's another approach. Another approach is you can go back to the build tool and you can export this project as a zip file also. Yes, that's possible. So if you go back to the build tool over here, back to the map page, please. And I want to go back to the project level. This is also fine. You can import this whole project as a zip file from the build tool and then import that zip file also. It's possible. You see this archive option, export. Yeah, export option, just click on that. It will export the build project as a zip file, as an archive file. You can come back here and you can also choose a zip archive file and just browse and do it. If just in case you are unable to establish a secure connection with build. Of course, if you're able to establish a secure connection, then it's very easy and handy. You can simply go and select and import it nicely. I will say select prototype, and now I can see here the prototype which is getting displayed. I'm not sure why it's not displaying my current prototype. Did I publish it? So let me just go back and check if I published it. What we need to do is go to the build tool, go to your prototype, and now here you see click on this share button. Once you click on this button, usually if you are using a licensed version, you're going to get a button to publish. If you're not, then you see here it says prototype is ready for colleagues and users to explore. Share this link. It automatically publishes it now, and we can just go back and consume this in the WebIDE at this point. So I will just go to change prototype. It's not showing here. Maybe just search Anubhav. Maybe I have to refresh our WebIDE. Just refresh that. And once again, give it a try. So make sure the project is shared and it is published and it's available. Only then we can start consuming the same. Okay. You can come back, new project from template, choose build project. Next, about inventory, say next, just choose standard, select prototype, and voila. Now you can see inventory demand and supply analysis project is available. It's been published, so I can now consume this, select it, and click on finish. And there you go. You will see now a project is imported to WebIDE right from scratch. You don't have to spend time in developing those artifacts from one by one. If your prototype has been approved by your end users, your user stories are matching with your prototype, everybody is happy with it, you can also get started and do this magic to speed up your process of development. all the important files, which includes component.js, router, route match handler, manifest.json, new app.json, .project.json, views, models, controllers, local service, mock data, I18N, data folder, models formatters, fragments, controllers, everything is generated out of the box from the build tool. You can also execute this immediately over here and start this and say, okay, yes, exactly. Those who are not comfortable with UI5, at least to begin with, then this can be a good option. You can create a prototype over there in the build tool like we saw in the last unit. Those who don't know how to use the build tool, I will put a video in the description as well, how to use build tool. In this video description, you can find that. You can also navigate to that video and understand what exactly the build tool is all about. So now you can see when I start, and it starts with Launchpad, and I got a tile, and just click on the tile. So it's an actual productive Fiori application running in WebIDE environment. Of course, you got to go back now into the system, your SAP backend system. You got to go there, and then you have to start creating an OData service. Of course, it's failing because it's not able to find this service. You see, it's not able to find and write OData service URL. You know now from here as a UI5 developer what you're supposed to do. You got to go back and implement the OData service and connect that with the demand versus supply. So it's not having right now any data available. Since there's no data, it is just imported the screens and the prototype. Yeah, it's showing that error. As a UI5 developer, we all are experienced enough now to go ahead and add a OData service, keep matching that OData service requirement accordingly, and then display the data to the user. However, you can just go to purchase request, and you can see all that screen is appearing. Whatever we saw, the screens are in there. Yeah, so everything it has generated out of the box for you directly from your build tool. Awesome. So that's it for the day. Thank you so much for watching this video. I see you in the next video. Please feel free to subscribe to my trainings on onlinefiorytrainings.com. Have a nice day and goodbye.